Welcome to the CarCrazedFool Garage, and this week I'm talking about my 2016 Gen 1 991 GTS. So the 991 GTS, the Gen 1, is running the 3.8 litre engine, 430 horsepower with power increase, 140 newton meters of torque, and will do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds with the PDK box. Now these are a sort of car that are actually starting to die out. With the Gen 2 991s, they're all become turbocharged. So this is one of the very last of the naturally aspirated cars, and it really is special because of that. Now my car is actually even more special because it's the very last naturally aspirated non-GT car that was sold by Porsche Colchester. So it must have been one of the very last to come off the production line. So what about the specification of my GTS? Well, it's Riviera Blue for a start, so it's a PTS colour, so it's a Porsche paint sample. It's running the PDK box, it's not manual, and actually for me, I'm not a huge fan of the 7-speed manual. I love a manual box, as you guys all know, but the 7-speed just isn't quite right. The 6-speed is amazing, so the GT4 and the 911R, the 6-speed box is just fantastic, but the 7-speed box isn't quite all there, but the PDK box in this is just mega, and I think it suits the car actually. So what are the differences between this and say the GT3? Well, immediately the paddle feel is a little bit different. The paddles have a bit more of a longer, softer throw. They're much harder and sharper in the GT3, so that's sort of a driver feel thing. The steering is actually very good in this car. It's not quite on par with the GT3, but it's very, very good. And I love all the Alcantara. You have it on the door handles, on the sides, on the steering wheel, most importantly, on the gear lever, and it gives a more race car feel. The GTS started really with the 997 as a bit of a parts bin special. It was coming to the end of the 997 reign and the end of the production time, and they decided to create a special as a bit of a run out, and that was the GTS. And it proved so popular that it's actually now become a key part across all of the model ranges. So you can get a GTS in Panamera, you can get GTS in Macan, you can get GTS in all the cars, and that sort of shows really how successful it was. But what's nice about it is it really bridges the gap between the GT cars and the everyday road cars. The Gen 2 is a hugely accomplished, incredibly quick car, and I've back-to-back tested a Gen 2 with this one, and literally in a drag race, the Gen 2 leaves this for dead. However, what it doesn't have is that scream you get from the engine. There is that howl over 7,000 revs, and that is just wonderful to hear. I think we're at a really interesting junction for the production of cars. Obviously, it was only recently that the government announced that they were outlawing all internal combustion engines by 2040. And this means that actually production of cars has just got to change. You know, electric is coming whether we like it or not. And that means that the manufacturers have to start thinking about what they're going to do next. And it does mean the end of the internal combustion engine, which is a great shame because obviously part of driving is that sort of experience and the oral experience you get from the noise of an internal combustion engine. And I think it's a great tragic demise that we're going to witness. And obviously as part of that process, we're starting to move from the larger capacity engines to the smaller capacity turbocharged engines to meet the emissions regulations that are the interim step towards us becoming fully electric. This car really is the last of a generation, and for that it should be celebrated, and I think longer term it is definitely going to become a collectible item, especially in Riviera Blue.